All right, everyone. So I have a great customer interview with you guys today. It's my boy Ryan. Now, Ryan is located, you're in Australia, correct?
Yeah, Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne, Australia. Awesome. Then you've been in the program for how long? It's been over like a year, I think, correct?
Yeah, just under a year, about 11 months. 11 months now.
Got you. You started with, I was talking to Ryan before. Ryan has had an incredible journey. So he started with us making about what was it, maybe less than 1K or around 1K a month. Had to work a part-time job. Didn't have enough cuts to do. It was really hustling and grinding. And just last month, you just passed your first 13K month overall, which is phenomenal, right? I guess in that journey so far, what's been your biggest lesson?
My biggest lesson overall, I think for sure, is switching from thinking like a barber to an entrepreneur. When I thought like a barber, I used to kind of play the blame game a lot. I used to think that my skill set was the issue, my location was the issue. I was putting all these obstacles in my way from achieving the goal that I, obviously aspired to achieve. Henry Hong in my city, HH, I used to look up to him a lot. Just off my first glance, thinking like a barber, I used to look at his cuts and my cuts. His cuts at the time were about 3 times better than mine. And I was like, damn, I need to get my cuts so much better before I can start making all this income. But what I didn't realize was the bigger problem was his business was about 20 times better than mine. And that's the glaring problem that needed to be fixed. But because I was thinking like a barber, I was only looking at the cuts, not thinking like an entrepreneur. So working with yous helped me think like an entrepreneur way more than a barber.
I have some questions to ask you, Ryan, and I have them written on screen, so I'm going to read them off because I want to make sure I at least cue you up really good. So first question I got right here is, when you're on the path of growing a business, there are these moments where you're all alone, you can see everything starting to click, right? And your understanding gets clear. You can almost see the universe lining up for you, whether it be the content, whether it be the cuts, or new clients coming in overall. Can you tell us really about that moment when everything started to click for you? What really happened and what was going through your head, and how did you kind of use that moment to move forward to your advantage?
The moment where everything kind of clicked for me, it was actually in my onboarding call with my CSM Paris at the time. Honestly, I was meant to read through this sheet, fill out the sheet before the call, prior to the call, and I didn't do it. I don't know why. I was working and I didn't do it, and straight up he called me a bullshitter to my face in the onboarding call. And that was the first time in my life where anyone had really straight up called me out to my face. And it kind of made me step back and think damn, he's right. You know what I mean? That was my first time really experiencing that. And from that point, I kind of just became so much more self-aware just in general of things. And that increase of self-awareness helped me so much throughout my business going forward. And I've listened to all your podcasts on Spotify, everything like that. And that's one thing I've noticed throughout the time that you really highlight, being self-aware, how much that can help you grow your business. Because if you're not self-aware about things, you're not even going to realize what the problem is. And the problem is yourself.
I think the biggest thing there, number one, shout out to Paris for being a little bit rough with you. We're overall, obviously, we don't want to be rough with everybody. It's holding you accountable, right? If you want these goals, you want I want to make 10K a month, want to make 15K a month. It's okay, it's our job now as a company to get you there, and we're going to hold you accountable to those goals, to what you said. I guess for you, I'm a big believer in how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? You had that self-awareness of okay, maybe I'm a bullshitter, maybe I'm cutting corners on things. Where else in your life at that time did you really see okay, I see where I'm bullshitting right here and or not following through, and I'm also seeing it right here as well too? Did you see other things start popping up and you start cleaning things up?
One thing that I really realized was I was kind of for my whole life, always that guy that said he was going to do shit, but never followed through with it. I was always that massive talker, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to be that anymore. I was I'm sick of being a talker. Let me just go, just do it. I want to be a doer, man. I want to get the result. I'm not going to talk about this now. I'm just going to go do it. That's the best way to talk or whatever. Actually go get the result. Let the results talk.
There has to be some sort of fear behind that too, right? Like when you're a talker, it's you talk about the things you want, but there's a fear that's blocking you or something like that. Is that what you kind of recognize, or why were you more in that talker phase instead of the doing phase, in your opinion?
Yeah, I guess just to talk and kind of convince myself that I was doing something good, or I'm all good here, you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm gonna do this, and this. Don't worry about me, man. kind of like that, I guess.
It's something I learned early on when I was running my barber business, and also New Era Barbering. It's like the difference between an entrepreneur and what they call a wantrepreneur. I think Alex Hormozy said it very famously. I've heard this concept like a couple years ago before Hormozy as well too. The wantrepreneur always talks about what they're going to do, their dreams, their goals. They have the vision boards, but they just want it. They don't like that. It just stays in the wanting thing. They don't go and put in the action to actually get and attain the goals they set out for themselves. What did you do to all of a sudden start like taking action? Because and again too, there's the fears. I guess you're getting like that dopamine spike of like saying that you're going to do it, but you never ended up doing it. Like, did you have to hold yourself accountable? Do you set up like, I don't know, something to where you had more discipline? Like, what did you do overall?
So at the start, it was very easy for me to make excuses because I was working another full-time job while trying to barber. So I was waking up 5 a.m. every day to drive an hour to work, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., come back home and cut hair, sleep, repeat. And then I'd be cutting on the weekends as well. So I just had to really work 80 to 100 hours a week. That like total, including my full-time job, cutting hair, studying, watching Q&A calls, listening to podcasts. Everything. That's what I had to do, and I was just doing that. I just wanted it so bad, and making that investment. I'd never made an investment like this, and that kind of propelled me to it. I'm like, I'm just going to give it my all.
It sounds like a lot of work, doing 80 to 100 hours of work. I mean, like you're doing a part-time job, you're going to school studying, you're also trying to cut hair, trying to get the business off the ground. But I don't think a lot of people realize that's the price you have to pay for the goals that you want to achieve, right? Everything comes with a price. We always pay for something. We either pay it with regret later on in life, or we pay it with all the work we're going to do up front. And you decide, okay, cool, I'm not going to pay the regret game, right? I'm going to go ahead and do the work, and now you're seeing the result again, $13K a month, which is huge for you overall. Like, I mean, like let's highlight that real quick, dude. Like, how did hitting your first $13K a month feel for you overall?
Bro, it's like almost unreal to me. It just feels like a number. Like I was charging $40 even 6 months ago, probably scratching about 4K, 5K. So this is still like surreal to me. It feels like I'm playing a video game almost, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking loving it because I used to fucking be addicted to video games, and now it's like this business is my new baby. And I'm just like, every time I post and stuff, I'm posting every day. Haven't missed a day since I've joined the program, and it just feels like I get so much dopamine from it, just like the video games. It's just so good.
That's one thing I want to highlight. Number one, you started to gamify business. And not only gamify business, but you started gamifying life, right? And like when you start treating your life like a video game and like you're the main character, you can give it as many like experience points and like drop things at certain experience points with your skill level. You start becoming like more like, I don't want to say like a dangerous weapon, but you see the results coming and you get that dopamine rush from it. I wanted to highlight something, right? So you just said even like 6 months ago, you were making like 4K a month, right?
Yeah.
Like what did you do to start getting that growth overall? Like the 4K month, and then now 6 months later, 13K a month.
On that 6 months ago kind of thing is kind of where I switched up and really took that step of getting out of my comfort zone when it came to posting. That's when I really started pushing those voiceovers, consultations. I was like, fuck, I really got to try this stuff and really get creative with it. As I kept doing that, it speaks for itself, like the results on my page now. Yeah.
Like you just started doing the work, which is what we talk about, right? Like the daily inputs. And more importantly, you said something like very crucial earlier, which is like, you haven't missed a day of posting since you started the program. And a lot of people, like even whether in the program or not in the program, if they don't see the results they want, they'll kind of give up. It's like you have to go through that, like it's called exit velocity, right? You have to go through like gravity or life trying to pull you back down, and you got to go even harder, go and attack even more viciously, day in and day out, work even harder just to get that breakthrough moment, right? And again, we talk about front loading all that stuff. Right now, you might be pushing just as hard or not as hard as you were prior, but the results are coming more effortlessly because of all the upfront work you did.
100%. It's the foundation that you build. Yeah, in terms of people burning out quick, I see two types of people that fail. There's the ones that just aren't consistent at all. Like they might post for 3 days in a row, take a couple of days off. And to be honest, those people aren't even trying. You're not even like signing up. You're calling it quits, honestly. You're not even trying. And then there's the people that will post every day, but they're just doing the same shit over and over again on repeat. And it's like, bro, you've been doing the same stuff for 3 months and none of it's worked. Why do you keep thinking by doing it more it's gonna work? Try something different, bro. Like you got to really like not only post every single day. That's bare minimum. Yeah. You got to actively try to improve your content every single day.
Again, too, like I think the biggest thing that I've always been a big believer too is like you have to be getting 1% better with your content, right? It just has to be one thing, make one small step improvement, right? If you do that, you get 365 points of improvement over every single year. And if you do that, you'll be in a much better place than you were like a year ago just from your content. I want to go to the second question real quick. So, for right now, I mean, like, look, dude, every barber's on social media, right? Like, it's like every single barber understands finally social media is like the tool to grow your business, and they're trying to get results like you. For you, how did you find what makes your content different and used to beat out maybe the other barbers who are posting or even barbers who are copying you and maybe copying past styles you did that work for you overall?
I think I'm just having fun with it, and you can genuinely sense that in my content. Some people fucking hate posting, and you can tell with their posting that it feels like a chore to them almost. You can tell that I'm just having fun with it, and because of that, I'm able to, push my comfort zones, not care what people think, not care about a bunch of dudes commenting on my stuff, and you got to get past that.
Overall, there's tons of people trying to copy everyone, right? And I think the biggest thing that people, when they're copying things, they forget the aspect of social media as a social platform. If you were just a dry individual when you go up and talk to somebody in public, nobody's going to want to hang out with you, right? And the biggest thing is have fun with it. Your authentic fun, whatever fun is for you, and make it unique to yourself. Figure out what your likes, what you dislike. Maybe it's editing style. Maybe it's funny jokes that you make in there, right? But it's there's a segment of the audience that wants to see and also has the same likes as you, and you just have to showcase that to them, right? I always take the example Joe Rogan, let's say, right? Joe Rogan, for instance, he's into UFC, he's into weird alien stuff, he's into obviously elk meat and stuff like that. Not too many people like that shit, but for some reason it works for him, right? And he's just truly authentically himself and really embodies that. And dude, am I ever gonna eat elk meat or be weirded out by space alien stuff like he is? Probably not. But when I see somebody who's passionately talking about these things and they can talk about them in a very in-depth way, it's just intriguing and it's entertaining to watch. And I think everybody has to come back to the fact that social media is an entertaining platform, and you have to entertain people, whether it be through the value, whether it be through your inspiration, whether it even be through your humor. Right? I think you just found your own lane in that, and I think every single barber needs to kind of take that and follow suit overall.
Yeah, I think it's about copying others. There's always the trends going on. And it's good to hop on these trends because you can get a lot of traction into your page from these trends. But I think it's always cool to put your own spin on it.
I think that's correct. Overall, Virgil Abloh says, take an idea and just put 3% of you into that. Right? And it becomes a unique new idea overall. I think the same thing with content. You don't got to reinvent the wheel, just tweak it by 3% overall. For you, as a business owner, it means that you welcome and run towards hard moments and overcome them, right? And in moments of doubt and hardship, at least in your journey so far, what has been your anchor or source of motivation that kept you pushing forward even during those hard times?
Yeah, man, all the people that doubted me along the journey, obviously I was working my full-time job, and a lot of people were kind of asking me what I was doing and stuff, and honestly, I'd tell them straight up, and they were like, "Oh, I think that's stupid. That's never gonna work. You know what I mean? What do you mean you're gonna be charging $100 a haircut? Who the fuck's gonna pay that? Blah 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 blah." It got to a point where I was making about $2K per month from my business. I was about a few months into the program, and I was faced with what I like to view as a critical character-defining moment for myself, and it was okay. I've got 9 months left in the program. Am I gonna quit this full-time job and go all in with barbering, even though I'm only making this amount? Or am I just gonna cut down my hours? And I really had to think about that. And I had to run towards fear in this situation and take the risk. I quit the job straight up. Everyone around me was telling me go part-time, but I quit that job and went all in. And quitting that job gave me about 60 hours back to my week. So I was able to put all of those 60 into my business. And that was the critical turning point of where everything just skyrocketed.
Yeah, it was you got more time to be able to focus, to be able to actually put into the business, to be able to grow the business overall. I'm sure that had to affect you a little bit, right? I'm sure you had family, friends, people who were close with, tell you, kind of dumb for thinking this way. How did you take that in from, family and friends overall?
Yeah, I kind of just imagined what it would be like when I get the result. I thought of, so many of the all-time greats that went through stuff in their beginning, and everyone around them doubted them, but they pushed through, got the result, and that's what made them great. I was just like, man, I only live once. I've got this opportunity in front of me. I'm gonna do it. I don't even care if I fall on my face. What's the worst that happens?
Yeah, it's just give yourself a fucking chance, right? Try at least, right?
Yeah.
You know what's gonna happen if you don't go all in. You don't know what's gonna happen if you do go all in, right? So you might as well try. Now, I'm big on mindset, right? I think we've talked about that before. I'm a big believer in how you do one things, how you do most things overall. And I also truly believe that no one has business problems, but personal problems that bleed into their business. You know, when you're reflecting on, let's say, like your rapid growth, what were some non-negotiables or habits or mindsets that propel you forward? I know we talked about again too, like the discipline stuff. Was there anything else that could be added to that?
Yeah, for sure. So posting every day, that's been a non-negotiable for me. And it's going to keep as long as I'm in this content creation barbering. Wake up time as well. It's a non-negotiable, but I'm not going to cap. Like, I have slipped up on it. I've noticed the best results when I'm in a really good rhythm with my wake up time, my posting, and everything. Those were the two that I stuck with.
And I think that that's vital too. Like, I think people always want to worry about a bedtime, but like a wake up time is much more important to me, at least, because a bedtime just like when you get tired. If you have a hard set wake up time, you at least know how many hours throughout the day you have set to be able to work on the business, instead of like waking up 5 minutes before an appointment, rolling out of bed, going to that thing, and then being, you know, have no time because you're cutting all day long. I honestly think that's a non-negotiable. Unless, I mean, again, too, I've started to dial back myself. I used to be 5 a.m. every single day, even weekends. Now on weekends, I'll allow myself to sleep in like an hour or so to like 6 a.m. It's such a vital hack in terms of like getting time back, and time is our resource that we can utilize deploying the business. Why aren't we doing it more? Obviously. I guess, you know, for yourself, looking back, what is one piece of advice that you wish you had received earlier in your career? And like, how would that change your path overall?
Join quicker. Like, I'm not trying to like brag, but when I joined, I had only been cutting hair properly for about 6 months. So I was really fresh into the game, and I was kind of like nervous to join. I was like, fuck, have I got enough experience? Am I good? You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to get straight into it. And I used to like look at, for example, South Bay Chris. He started at 4K per month, went to 20K per month. I'm sitting at 1K per month. I'm like, fuck, I gotta get to 4K per month before I can join. But big shout out to my guy, O1 Blends. He's in Perth. He really encouraged me. He's like, no, bro, just fucking join. Join right now, bro. Like, trust. I took his advice, took the risk, and then, yeah, the rest is history. But looking back, I wish I sort of thought more like that. Instead of thinking, I got to get like to 4K per month because that's like what's been done before. Instead of thinking, I could be the first motherfucker to go from 1K per month to 20K per month. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. I love that mindset too. Like, you know, it's because the same mindset I had when I was in Sacramento, right? The highest charging barber there was like 40. And then, you know, I went up to like 100. I'm just like, you know what? No one else has to do it first. I want to be like one of the first ones to do it. And I think it's the same mentality. Like, the only barriers that you'll ever receive in life are the barriers you put on yourself. The boxes, the barriers, the limitations, right? I think we always have to be aware of like, what are the boxes, barriers, or limitations we're putting on ourselves, and more importantly, why? Is it because of fear? I mean, like, do you really think like on your own, like you're at 1K a month, you think you would have gotten to that 4K a month in like that next 6 months at all?
Bro, I guarantee you, if I hadn't have joined or I was trying to get to that 4K per month, I would still be working that full-time job right now if I hadn't have joined.
Why do you think that overall? Like, it's just because like you didn't know exactly what to do because nothing was growing? Like, were you kind of just in your head a lot? Like, what was going on?
I think when you kind of brush it off to the side, just anything in general where you're like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. When you get comfortable with that, you kind of just keep doing that. And then a year goes by. That's another character defining moment I went through, joining at that time. Because if I don't do that, I'm a completely different person.
I think here's the other thing too, right? When you join at that moment or like do something in that moment where it's like, oh, should I, should I not? You have every reason to make it succeed. When you get into a comfortable spot and you join a program, you're like, well, I don't really need to. Like, no, you have to make this work. It is like burn the boats moment. I'm going through hell or high water to make this work. And you kind of come in with a very different energy. And for you, like, again, let's take a look back. You haven't missed a day of posting in the last since you began. Maybe if you're making that 4K month, you probably were like, you know what? Yeah, I'm making 4K a month. It's not too bad. So like, I don't really gotta post every day. No, you're making one. You're like, I have to. This is my only pathway to get this thing going.
Yeah, I want to share another thing that I tried to like do to really propel myself forward. I don't want to get into details of like how much I paid for the investment or, you know, those things on here, obviously. But pretty much, I didn't have enough money up front to pay it. I had to go on a 3-month payment plan to pay off this investment. And pretty much I was only able to do that because of the combined income of my full-time job and barbering. And I tried my hardest to put myself in a scenario where I had to pay this off with just the barbering income, hypothetically.
Really?
Yeah, I tried so hard to like manifest that. I was like, imagine yourself in a situation where you've only got 3 months to pay this off.
Yeah.
And like at this rate, I'm gonna come up like so short of the payment, you know? That's how I was able to consistently during that period work 80 to 100 hours a week, like pretty much just always in a workflow.
Because
Yeah.
you had a reason why, right? You had that clear goal. You envision it very clear, and you're like, all right, I have a reason why I need to get this thing done. I think a lot of people, just in general in life, they kind of drift through, or they kind of don't get the results they want because they don't really clearly see the vision of like why they need to be doing this, right? Whether it be for family or loved ones, whether it be to prove it to yourself, whether it be to change your family dynamics, you have to have that clear vision to start with. Because if you don't, it's like, what are we doing things for? Why are we even going to try at that moment in time, right? Like imagine again too, Ryan. Let's say maybe you want to be like jacked, right? Let's say you want to be like look like Chris Bumstead, right? Let's say you already have his body. Are you really going to be like going to the gym that much? Probably not. Like you're like, I already look good. I'm not going to work out as hard. But when you're like starting from the beginning, you're working as hard as you can because you want to get to that vision as quickly as possible. I think the same thing has to be with business at all times. I guess for you, man, as business owners, at the end of the day, we're problem solvers, right? And the more problems and challenges we solve and overcome, the more growth we get as a byproduct. For you, what's been one big challenge you faced while we were working together, and how'd you overcome it? I think I already know a couple, right? Obviously, we just went over you kind of getting the program overall, you not getting results. Was there anything else besides that?
I guess managing my time, but I kind of touched on that before. Yeah, I had to make so many sacrifices, you know, not being able to see my girlfriend as much. Like, I've still got it to this day, which is really good. And she's very supportive and bends around my schedule. She's probably one of the only ones that actually took me serious, surprisingly. It's pretty cool that, you know, she's been with me since then and now. Sometimes I'll go into certain places and I'll have 5 kids come up to me, yo, Ryan, too fresh. Let me get, you know what I mean? And it's kind of crazy, you know what I mean? Like, just those sacrifices at the start was quite hard, but that's what's required.
Even though you had like a lot of people who, you know, kind of said that the decision was not good, that you were going full time, like you still had to have someone in your corner who believed in you. Not only yourself, but believed in like someone who believed in you, which was your girlfriend, thankfully, right? So I think without that, I mean, sometimes like, look, business can get lonely. Scaling a business, especially as a barber, right, can get very, very lonely. You always need that like, whether it be community. I mean, I know we have it inside of EM. We have a very tight-knit community. I mean, we do elevated mentorship meetups, even though you haven't been to one yet, Ryan, right? But I'm just giving you some shit. But I think you always need to have like some sort of community, some sort of home base where everyone is supporting you on your, or even just one person supporting you on your growth. Because number one, to get started, it's vital. Number two, think about this, Ryan. Think about when you actually get to the top of what you see for yourself, and she's still right by your side. How amazing that story is going to be. Like you guys have that like connection point of like, man, remember when I was just working at like that part-time job making one, that's a beautiful story right there.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've been thinking about, just how great I can be. Yeah, I'm on a pretty good journey right now. And I also want to give a shout out to my parents because they've also been really supportive as well. Like, I think they didn't expect this. They definitely did not expect this. They were like, oh, he's working, you know, that's fine. And I'm in a really blessed position to be able to work from my parents' house, which is actually a huge advantage.
Like again, to making 13K from your parents' house overall. How old are you again, by the way?
I just turned 21 in November.
No shit, just turned 21, dude. Phenomenal. Lots of good things coming your way. Now, I guess like to wrap it up overall for you, you know, if you can go back to the day you started our program, what advice would you give yourself knowing what you know now?
Kind of what I touched on before, just thinking in that kind of way that you can do it. Like, I could be the first to go from 1K to 20K per month because I didn't really think like that at all. I remember listening to your customer interview with Joey, Malou Blends. One thing that I really took from that was just the way he thinks and makes decisions. He's making decisions at such a fast rate. And even if he fucks up on like 5 of those decisions or whatever, he's still 10xing the average person's output. And I just admired that so much because at the time I was nothing like that. I even thought about that when quitting my job. I was like, fuck, what would he do? He's quitting that job, isn't he? He's going all in, you know? That's what I really tried to embody. And I think that's helped me a lot running towards fear in a lot of moments.
Yeah. Not only that, but just like speed. It's like one of, like, especially for what we have as a company, and Joey now works inside the company as well too, helping barbers and taking calls of barbers. But like speed is such like a huge value to me, right? Because again, too, I know for myself, I'm not the brightest guy out there, right? I'm not the fastest learner either. It takes me a while to kind of come around to an idea, but I know if like I'm at least very speedy on my learning experiences, I will get farther along than someone who is, again, too kind of hesitant or overthinking things, or like kind of trying to think things through too much. I'm like, dude, I gotta see truth. I gotta test it out for myself. I think that's like the epitome of like what Joey is. Joey's like, dude, I don't know. Let me just try it. I gotta see for myself. And I think that's like our mission as a company with the New Era Barbering. We do help barbers scale the business. We do help barbers with marketing, getting new clients, raising prices. The core mission of why I started this company is kind of like exactly what you harped on, right? To help barbers not only develop into clear thinking entrepreneurs, but also really critical thinkers, right? Really clean thinkers, and people who can at least make really good decisions that will affect their future in a positive manner. And I think overall, like it's great to see like results like you, dude. Like overall, again, scaling your business from 1K a month all the way to 13K a month, 21 years old in Australia, like killing it, and still has a lot of momentum to go. Like, you got 7K left to 20K. You're right there. You're just on the cusp of, think of it like another breakthrough. Dude, it's been fun overall. Like watching you grow and always like seeing you post your wins every single time. And like when I saw it 13K, I was like, no shit, that's incredible. So I'm extremely proud of you. Not only of you as a barber and the way you push yourself, but more importantly as a young man you're developing into. I think overall, a lot of people need to understand you need to change in order to get the growth, in order to get the goals that you want. And you're the epitome of like, look, you change your identity, you change who you are as a person, you change your habits, and you're seeing the results from that change. And I give you all your flowers and all the kudos to that, because again, too, this is like one of those moments in life where you look back on 60 years from now of like, that was the turning moment where I started to believe in myself and I started understanding how the world works. So can't give enough props to you, man. Anything else you want to wrap us up with overall?
Man, I'm just so happy I didn't go down my engineering path.
Yeah.
After high school, I got a good score and I was really good at maths and physics. And I got out of like I was in COVID kind of doing that. And I was like reflecting a lot. I was like, man, fuck this. I don't want to do this. Let me try something else, you know? Like, and I saw guys like Vic Blends and shit, and I was like, man, let me try this. And that's what got me into it. I'm just so glad that I did that. Like one day I came along your page on my TikTok For You page, and I was just glued instantly. I was like, fuck, 20K per month. There was just like significant feeling, emotion attached to that number. It's like, fuck, I could make 20K per month. People would like take me serious for once. Because everyone, when I didn't do engineering and I passed down that opportunity, because I could have gone straight to the degree, gone to the course or whatever, but I deferred. I just didn't do it. They were like, bro, what are you doing? You could have become an engineer and you're doing barbering? Being a barber is such a disrespected like choice. Everyone's like, oh, you're the barber, you cut hair, cut my fucking hair, you know, like we're like slaves, you know, like no one thinks it's a good decision. And I was just like, if I could get to that, people would just like, I don't know, that's just kind of how another thing that really ignited me.